What's up, YouTube? Your friendly neighborhood comic book dude here for another round of our, spread of things that you get to see from week to week. As always, like, comment, subscribe, do all those fun things that make the channel grow. I think we have more stuff this week than we've ever gone through. I'm going to try to, not rush through them per se, but, I'll give you guys a good look at stuff and move on so each thing can get its time in the limelight. As always, there's a Patreon if you want to get early access to any of these things. They are up there 24 hours before you are seeing this video, so if you're a diehard collectible person and you've seen some stuff on here and then, saw that it was already sold by the time you got around to it, that's why. So, $1 a month gets you early access. Other than that, yeah, I don't know. There is so much this week. It's a little inundating. And I will apologize, too. This video is coming out a little later than normal, too. Personally had some car trouble this week, as if pandemic is not big enough of an issue to deal with. Got a new car today, though, so, things are looking up. So the first batch of stuff, actually, of all things, has to do with a magazine, and not a toy per se. You get to see some toys, but the company that that they're from was called Toy Fair. For any of you that aren't familiar with Toy Fair, they do usually they used to have an ongoing monthly magazine that was coming out. They spanned, I want to say, mid-90s to about 2011. And then they went bust because, 2011 at that point, damn near everything's online. Putting out print publications are getting less and less when it comes to things that are showing toys and stuff. By the time you get that catalog in your hands, it was already leaked online a month beforehand. So, but at one point, what they did was they had a handful of mail-away figures. From what I found in the collection this week, I do believe these are all the mail-away figures. I could be wrong, so feel free to correct me if you think there's any others out there. I may come across them later. They weren't marked or denoted any kind of way, but they were all in the same place, so that kind of leads me to think that, they were all gotten from the same place and put together. But so yeah, they were those type of things that you could mail away, a form in the magazine to get this free figure that in theory you couldn't get anywhere else. I will say none of them are particularly expensive money-wise, so if you ever wanted to get these and just never got the mail away for them, we'll have them relatively cheap, under 20 bucks for each one, except for one of them. So the first one was the Earth X Venom. It came in these cool little, Toy Fair, Toy Biz boxes. Honestly, feel like maybe more action figures should come with this. A lot of bulk is used in packaging figures that feels unnecessary. Then there was a yellow and red Daredevil. There was a Havoc, which for some reason they were like, you know what, we're going to give you an all-white box. I don't know why. Seems pretty cool, though. And then there were 2 Star Wars figures. One of them is our boy, Mace Windu, aka Samuel L. Jackson as a Jedi. And it's considered a Kenner technically, which is always really cool because that's what all the OG Star Wars figures were. But again, because I don't know how many of these things they made, given that it wasn't a retail saleable item, but it's not super pricey. I mean, what do I got? Mace Windu's gonna be 10 bucks. So the only one of these things that was of considerable amount more than the others, not that that's saying a whole lot, is Oola and Salacious Crumb. And if you're looking at them and you're like, who the heck are they? The lovely people at Toy Fair decided, hey, we're going to put a little infographic picture on the back that reminds you of the scene they're from. And they were from, Jabba's court of people there. So Oola and Crumb are 25. So, I mean, but again, relative to all these things, that's a lot, but it's still really not that much for a figure from, 90s, 2000s. that you can't get anymore, at least in this particular fashion. Alright. Next. I actually just rewatched the movie that this next figure was from. Always loved it. We have ourselves an Ichabod Crane from Sleepy Hollow. And this is supposed to be like the the Johnny Depp movie replica version. And they call him an ultra detailed figure version. I actually talked to a friend of mine about this, and he's right. I mean, this is probably the least detailed version of this figure they ever put out. But either way, it is from our friends at Metacom, which means it's a less circulated brand. It's, you know, not your NECA or Mezco. It's a harder to come by brand. That being said, though, that may or may not reflect in the price for this thing, because we're only going to be asking $20 for him. There was a little bit of a range, but the other thing that I will give you full disclosure on, which is kind of a first so far for a lot of the figures that I've come across, is he's not been officially removed from his package, but the card, he is coming off the card. So this is probably more likely for somebody that would open him anyway. So, oh, hold on a second. Come on, cat. Don't do that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Star-Lord wanted to knock the camera down. Thank God we stopped her. Stopped her, guys. But yeah, so that came out in like 2011. Almost 10 years old. I don't know though. So if you're a Sleepy Hollow fan, that'd probably be for you. Next, the next couple, I kind of like made like a mini theme of going with Dracula here. Let's see. The first one was Bela Lugosi Dracula. Where are we here? Nope, that's not that one. Picked a couple of Dracula things specifically. Just, you know, cool things, a little harder to come by. This one is from a brand that, you know, many have probably never heard of, myself included, literally called Exclusive Premiere. He's got a little tag on them for it, too. And there it is on the back. But it's a Bela Lugosi likeness Dracula. It's like a cloth figure, or at least his clothes are, and then, you know, resin plastic. And it comes with a little stand and a bat. That's kind of cool. I think, again, because this is one of our not big name brands, there's probably less of them out there, and in turn, the range on him was something like between 45 and 115. You'll probably see him in the average in there, maybe a little under the average, just because, you know, try my best not to break people's banks, especially during this time period that we're in. So there's him. Got a couple more Dracula things. Just was like, you know what? Let's theme it up a little bit. The next one, where is? The next one is in the vein of our Metaluna Mutant that we probably had, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. It's from Diamond Select Toys. It's a cloth, another cloth one. He looks a little like not as close to Bela Lugosi as the other one. More of like a generic like blah blah Dracula. I mean, honestly, this guy could pass for a better version of Dracula from Hotel Transylvania. But yeah, this will probably go for like in the 20 range. Yeah. Next. We have some Living Dead dolls. Usually, I have somebody who's sort of keyed into those now after watching the videos and stuff. But out of the 3 Living Dead dolls that we got this week, only one disappeared. The first one, as many of you guys might be fans of, there's a movie, Trick or Treat, with a little orange jumpsuited bag over his head boy named Sam. We had him. He didn't even make the cut of the video. He disappeared the second he hit the Patreon. He's $100. The most expensive of the Living Dead dolls we had today, but they're all very known characters today. Besides Sam, we've also got Pinhead of Hellraiser fame. So cute. Pinhead's gonna be around $55. The least expensive of the figures today, I think. And then we've got another Universal monster type thing. Thought this was actually, he actually looks pretty cute. We got Creature from the Black Lagoon. I think due to his age and whatnot, or the type of, who he's a figure of, maybe there's just not like a lot of, material out there of the creature looking like, an adorable little like Bratz doll. He's about 75. Yeah. What else? Ooh, our next piece is not a horror item, although the majority of today is. Trying to think. Yeah, we've had a few DC Directs already. So we had Dr. Manhattan, who was a DC Direct, and it's basically like their equivalent to some of the 1/6 scale companies out there, like Mezco's 1/6 and like Hot Toys and things like that. So we got a Zatanna today, which is pretty nice. Zatanna. When did this come out? That's right, this is one of the ones that didn't have a date. But yeah, beautiful piece. There's a lot of figures in this series too. Like on the back of it, it actually like gives you a full-blown list of all the other DC Directs. And I would be surprised if sooner or later you didn't see every single one of these, because I have seen a lot of DC Directs floating around in this collection. So Zatanna, her range is between 75 and 125, so she'll probably sit at right about 100, which is not bad for a 1/6 scale licensed figure. Never been opened, so beautiful piece. Oh god, YouTube, don't crucify me because I did open her flap. Next. Okay. Let's see. We've also got... Oh, you know what? I think I just realized. I think we flip-flopped the prices on something earlier. That one is... Which one was that? Where's the... Yeah, it's that one. So actually, the Dracula action figure we were looking at before, he was only $16. Quoted you at between 45 and 115. Sorry, there is a Dracula piece I'm about to show you that is between 45 and 115. It is a Mobius deluxe scale Dracula model kit. That seems a little bit more accurate. Yeah, 100-ish for a full-blown model of like a Dracula scene, and it looks like the diorama is everything that was pictured on the front there. So it's pretty nice. But yeah, that'll be the thing that runs you in the 100 range. Knew there was one more Dracula thing floating around. I was like, where was that? And then the second I looked at that action figure and saw that price, I'm like, is that right? Maybe not. And, oh, that's nice. So we had, this is another thing we had on a different week. We had one of those McFarlane toy, Where the Wild Things Are figures. I'll be honest with you, that first figure we showed, I mean, I haven't read that book in many years, but the first figure I looked at and I showed you guys was not a very recognizable figure from that, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe other people who've read it or have different memories of it, he stuck out more. But this next one always felt very iconic to me in terms of, like, if I see this picture somewhere floating around, my brain automatically goes, where the wild things are. And that would be our friend here, Aaron, from Where the Wild Things Are, right? Another beautifully rendered piece from McFarlane Toys. Yeah, I don't know. This is just one of the ones that, like, the second I see him, my brain just goes there. Let's see. He is probably going to be right around $30, which for a deluxe action figure, retail even is pretty average price wise. There's a couple I saw squeak by for less than that on eBay. A couple I saw squeak past that on eBay, but nothing drastically above or below that. So probably be right about there. What else? Ooh, this next one I thought was really cool looking. So this next one's not a variant in the strictest sense. I feel like it could have been. It could have been like a, hey, here's the normal figure and here's the, like, Target store exclusive version. And I wouldn't be surprised if you could only have found this at Target, because they seem to have a pretty extensive selection of NECAs when it comes to, like, retail big box stores. The next one was a Thermal Vision Fugitive Predator. So it's like that, like, image that, like, they see when they're looking through their, like, thermal goggles of, like, him moving around there. I think this looks boss. Price-wise, though, he's going to run you about the same as Aaron from Where the Wild Things Are. I don't know if he's hard to come by or not, but $30, so that's what this lovely, beautiful Predator is going to go for. It's actually, I think that's actually less than the last two Predators we put up for sale. One of those was $60, and another one was like $38. And don't kill me, but I think this one looks cooler than both of those. Although, that being said, we do have a regular Predator to counter that Thermal Vision one. And this one is just straight up classic Predator. Also a NECA, but an older NECA. From a bygone age when their action figure boxes looked like action figures from, like, the 90s. Let's see. Classic Predator, also $30. It's just like a low price week, I guess. I mean, most of these things are relatively inexpensive. I'll be shocked if anything lasts through the week. What else do we have? Couple more NECAs. Yeah, this is like a pretty action figure heavy week. I might even start doing that too, like ahead of time when I know, like, what the video is predominantly going to be. I might just, like, subtitle it the, like, Action Figure Madness or Statue Palooza or something, I don't know. The next two are both the same price, and they are both newer NECAs, but not, I don't know, NECA, like, I almost feel like as I show you these things, you can actually see, like, the evolution of their packages go from, like, the one that I just showed you for the classic Predator to, like, these, in Leatherface and Freddy here, both about $40. And then, like, the next ones up would be, like, the deluxe figures that are, like, in the boxes now with, like, the posters a lot of times for the covers. But, yep, cloth. We got a cloth Freddy there. And we got a cloth Leatherface there. Both will run you about $40. I think that's relatively inexpensive compared to some weeks. Scream from last week is like $100. So, yep. Ooh, these next ones are pretty cool. Some sideshows. Love me some sideshows. I still yearn to bring you guys some statues. I think at a certain point when we get to, like, the actual full-blown statues, might even just dedicate videos to those, like, assembling them, and then everybody will tear me to shreds when I break off some figure's hand mid-video. So what do we got? So I thought it would be cool because I saw both of these and I'm like, alright, well, I can't really just take one. I mean, I guess I could have just taken one, but I thought they'd be better together. Sideshow Freddy and Jason figures. So they're like, you know, full-blown figures. They're their versions from the movie. It's Freddy coming with a Jason mask so he can like clutch it in his hand and be like, ah ha ha, I gotcha. And Jason here just being a big dumb galoot. Both are Sideshow pieces. Both are beautiful. Probably. Oh, and they both come with stands. I think I could say with fair certainty that they were designed to be like posed together. You know, you got like Freddy coming at Jason, Jason coming at Freddy. So, Freddy's a little cheaper than Jason, but Jason's also like bigger, like just size-wise. Like I don't know if you can see there, right there, how Jason's got a little bit of height on him. I am holding them side by side from the bottom up, so he's just bigger. I don't know if that like equals more dollars or what, but Jason is, well, actually Freddy is about 100 in his price range was like 75 to 130, so right about 100 there. And then Jason's range was 110 to 205. It's probably about 150 for him. I'm sure when those two go up, if somebody, you know, ends up trying to get them as a set, I'm sure we can come up with like a deal for both. So yeah, there's that. What else do we got? We do have something else here too that actually at the start of this video became sold from a message that I got on Patreon. But I'll show it to you anyway. It's not like anything that's like super like, oh, what the fuck, you showed this to us and now we can't have it. But it is still pretty cool. It's original Nightmare on Elm Street 7-inch Ultimate Freddy. Looking pretty evil. And he ended up going for 25 bucks. So there be that. What else is there? Ooh. I kind of wish this had gone with that Freddy. But the person interested was only interested in a figure. So let's see here. There is a furnace that NECA made, and it can fit. It literally says on the back, in scale with all 7-inch Freddy action figures that are sold separately. So in theory, if you had a 7-inch Freddy, you could like turn this into like a little diorama thing with it. So the furnace itself is about 40, which, you know, a little bit more than the figure. But I mean, wasn't that always the case when we were kids? Like, you got the figure for like 20 and you had to pay like 100 for the play set. So that's actually not bad, actually. The Freddy was only 25, 40. So, oh man, this next piece I'm a little reluctant to show just because it's like, it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a little flimsy in the box. And to be honest, I'm not 100% on what I want to price this at yet. This is, I would say with a fair amount of certainty, this is the most expensive item we've got today. So, you know, a little bit of background here, because, you know, of late we had a lot of things that you guys already knew about, so I didn't have to give you a lot of background on them. If you imagine that high-end sports cars are something in the vein of like a Bentley or a, I don't know, a Jaguar, something like that. Well, the Barbie equivalent of that is a tonner. They are like very high-end Barbies, very articulated, you know, very well designed, usually limited number to some degree. So I had such outpouring for the Jessica Rabbit figure that we sold last week that was a Barbie, or pretty close to a Barbie, which was relatively inexpensive too. That was only $60. That when I came across this in the collection this past week, I said, we're probably going to have to put this up. There is a Jessica Rabbit tonner. Yeah. Like I said, she's kind of like, I worry that like I don't want to damage this because the few listings that I could find for this particular tonner were about 600 sold. I can't see selling this for that much. You know, it'll be less than that, but unfortunately, it'll probably still be in like the $450 range, which, when you think about it, is about 25% less than market value. But we haven't settled on a 100% price yet. But yeah, this is a beautiful piece. Again, if you're a Tonner fan, you know, it's from the Disney Showcase collection, as commissioned by Disney for Tonner to make. And they even tell you it's not a toy. Not a toy. Keep away from children. I don't know if that's because it's a Tonner or because it's Jessica Rabbit. So, there is that. Let's see. After that, another one of these. So we had one of these a while ago, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. We had, God, who was it? It was a Jason. It was a Jason figure that, after some doing, some research and some talking to a friend of mine who's a big horror buff, we figured out was a series of figures from Spencer's. They never actually labeled them as from Spencer's, but they were from Spencer's. So this week I decided to take one of those, and it's pretty awesome. It's a Ghostface from Scream, from the original Scream, and my understanding is you can actually record your voice and have him like transmodulate it like the way they did in the movie, like, hello, Sydney, like that. But the doll would do that for you, and there's details on how to do that. And it was a limited number series. It was of 100,000. I'm sure there's like toys that are normally made that don't even get made that many. Why do you have to say that it's out of 100,000? 19,297 of 100,000, just to be clear. I only saw one of these guys sold, to be honest with you. There wasn't a range on this. He was about 125. I think you'll find him for an even 100 when it comes to us. But yeah, pretty cool. Sooner or later, you know, these will all be scattered to the wind, just because to try to sell like all the Spencer's figures that are this big to one person, the shipping cost alone for that just like scares me. Where else are we? Getting close to the end here. The next couple things actually are all, I've got 4 hardcovers this week, which aren't technically collectibles, but then again, sometimes they are if you're a comic book fan, and you really can't track down or are willing to spend the money on the books that are compressed into these like reprint hardcovers. They're a great buy. Some of them are more expensive than others. Some of them are a lot cheaper than what they went for retail, to be honest with you. So, and actually one of them today was a lot more. Actually, the first one I'm going to show you is a lot more. And I can only imagine because it's 1, out of print, and 2, yeah, I don't know. And 2, it's, you know, it's Avengers. Like, it's original Avengers stuff. So, it's actually Avengers Omnibus, Volume 1. Yep. Yeah, so this retailed for 100 when it came out. But to my surprise, as I'm often surprised by things like this, there were multiple covers on this, and this was the DM variant. Another look at that. It's like the original cover, excuse me, from Avengers #1. The low that I found this sold for was $225, and the high was $300. I don't know if I could ask $200 for a book of reprints. I mean, we'll know that for sure once I post the listings for this after the video. But yeah, it's yeah. I mean, like, again, I guess in theory, because this collects like Avengers 1 to 20. It looks like. I mean, like, issue 1 would cost you thousands upon thousands of dollars, so $200 is a drop in the bucket to get full color reprints of books like that. So that one's pretty awesome. Conversely, though, Justice League of America, Bronze Age hardcover, collecting. We got Justice League of America 77 to 113, retailed for $100. We're only gonna ask $50 for it. I mean, you know, look at that, it's still cellophane and wrapped and everything. $50 for a $100 hardcover. that collects the beginning of a crucial period of events for the JLA. What else? The next one was, ooh, this one. This is another one that like kind of blew me away. So this was another, it retailed for $100. It's Batman by one of the most prolific Batman writers, Neil Adams. Also does art too. I would say that his art is much better than his writing. I am sorry for anybody that disagrees. I think the biggest example of that is if you ever try to read Batman Odyssey, beautifully rendered, but if you actually think you understand that story by the end of it, you're wrong. Nobody does. Because it's like Batception with like a story inside a story inside a story, and you never really know what's happening other than the fact that like Neil Adams likes Ra's al Ghul and likes pitting him against Batman. Yeah. But that being said, there are some great issues in here, and this is also out of print. So the range on this one went from just about its retail cost, about $90, so a little less than the retail, to $200, which is $100 more than the retail. Probably just going to hit retail on this one just to, you know, call it a wash, you know, get back what this thing was worth, and not hit anybody up for a lot more than that. Yeah. And then the last hardcover and second to last item for the day is a Green Lantern Silver Age hardcover. Oh my god. This has got some beautiful art in it too, including, what the heck is his name? This cover, man. Can't remember this guy's name. This is gonna kill me later. Nope. I'll have to look it up later. But beautiful art, just from like what you could see on the cover and the like the jacket and stuff. This retailed for about $100. I guess there just wasn't a whole lot of interest for Green Lantern for this time period, because this is going to go for about $50 as well, even though it retailed for $100. So I hope you guys enjoy all those. Whoever gets them, great time to get some reading in, especially on old stuff. All right, so our last thing is going to require me to get up for a second, just because our last item today is huge. I sort of hope that I make a local sale on this one as opposed to YouTube. I apologize in advance to anybody who sees this video and really wants this item, because just the thought of trying to ship this thing is making me sad. But I will show it to you, and if it does sell online, you can bet your button that you'll be getting this awesome, huge figure. So Marvel did a series of statues called Marvel Milestones, and I imagine their concept was to like pull from like movies and things, like moments of time that like look really great as a statue. So what better than to show Doctor Strange, you know, ready to go with his, you know, spells in hand, literally in hand, but in the vein of Benedict Cumberbatch. And I will get that and I will show this to you. Ooh. So, I don't know if you can see this as compared to next to me. This thing is huge. It's a beautiful piece though, and it's limited to 1,000. So they only made 1,000 of these things because they just knew that like to make more than that would be like sacrilege. But it's from Diamond Select. It's a beautiful piece. Surprisingly not going for a whole lot of money. I don't know if it's because it's still relatively new. It only came out in 2017 or what. The range on it's between like 150 and 220. We might settle on like 175. Again, I can only imagine what the thing's going to cost to ship, unfortunately. Maybe we'll lower the price to like the low, like the 150, and then like charge like $50 to ship, and so it's like an even 200 for whoever gets it. But yeah. So other than that though, that was everything from today. So again, feel free to check the links in the description if you're interested in any of these items. Add me on Facebook. I do have a group that I also post all these items to every week. That way, you know, there's like one solid, reliable location that you can find them on Facebook every week. I know there's a lot of groups I like to post to on Facebook as well, but sometimes they get accepted, sometimes they don't. At least in my own group that I made, they're going to be there. So, as always, if you've got any questions, feedback, whatever, feel free to hit me up. I've been your host, Friendly Neighborhood Comic Book Dude. Catch you guys next time.